Hello, my name is Josh Foster, and today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about conflict management and how to resolve issues between two people that maybe don't necessarily get along very well. Um, right now, my experience in the field is that for 4 years I've been a community director in the residence halls at different universities in Ohio, and what happens a lot of times is our resident assistants, the student leaders on campus, have to interact with students that are either causing behavioral issues or are maybe just having personal, academic, or other issues where it's an intense situation and the conflict is very high. So here are some strategies and guides to help manage conflict between two people. The first one would be using I statements. Using I statements in terms of saying I feel or I believe or in my experience, and then fill in the blanks from there. What this allows you to do is state how you're feeling and make people not defensive. A lot of times people want to use statements. You're doing this to me. Uh, this is your fault, and that puts people on the defensive. When you use you statements, you're putting them on the defensive. When you use I statements, you're stating a certain way that you feel about things. And when you do that, it's a lot easier for people to listen to you. It's a lot easier for people to converse with you, and it really calms the situation down. The next thing is stating your request clearly, making sure that whatever you're asking somebody to do, you do it in a clear manner. You also do it in a polite manner too. People respond well to that, and even though that sounds like common sense, a lot of times when you're dealing with someone that's belligerent or when you're dealing with someone that's very angry, we fail to do this. So using statements like, "May I please see your ID?" or "Could you please calm down and sit, in a chair and talk to me, politely." Doing things like that, making sure that you express exactly what you want and do it in a clear, calm, and concise manner. The next thing to note is that we want to make sure that we're confronting the behavior and not the person. A lot of times people want to say that it's because you're a bad person, or that people want to accuse them, and we want to make sure that, especially in the residence halls, that we're confronting the behavior and not the person. Something even as small as quiet hours in the halls, people can get upset about because it feels like they're being attacked. And if someone feels like they're being attacked, like they're being judged as a bad person, they tend to, increase the conflict level, increase the amount of anger in the room, and we don't want that. So we want to make sure that they understand that this is the violation they're accused of, or this is the violation that they're currently exhibiting, or the behavior they're exhibiting, and we are looking for something else. We're looking for them to either be quiet, either lower their tone of voice, whatever the behavior is that they're exhibiting, we want that to stop, and not that they're a bad person. A lot of times I think that's overlooked, but also I think that's the one that really calms people down the most. The next one is using appropriate nonverbals, making sure your hands aren't like this or your arms aren't like this, making sure you don't point fingers at people. Those are all tall tales that you're either really angry with them or you're not really engaged in the situation. So for me, that's been very important, especially when you're dealing with somebody that's really angry at you to begin with. You want to make sure your nonverbals approach what you're verbally saying to them too. So nonverbals can be just as important, and making sure that you don't look like you're either not interested in what they're saying, or to make sure that they know that you're there for them, that you're there paying attention. On that same note, listening would be another great step too. And I know that sounds very cliched or very much like common sense, but the general rule of thumb should be you should listen twice as much as you speak. Listening to what they're saying as a person and trying to kind of see the point of view they're coming from. And I think a lot of times in not only residence life, but kind of life in general, people want to think about the next thing they're going to say. They want to think about the next topic they're going to talk about. They want to think about the next thing that they want to tell them to either get them to calm down or to not be involved in that situation. Because in general, as most people know, confrontation or confronting situations isn't very comfortable, and so we're always thinking in the back of our head of the next thing to say instead of listening to that person and seeing where they're at. Lastly, we just want to make sure that we're applying assertive behavior, making sure that we're doing things that we can do to make sure that their behavior kind of matches what we're doing. One of them is remaining calm. A lot of people, when they're in an argument with someone, when they're in a conflict, they want to keep raising their voice higher and higher and higher. And what we ask our RAs to do, and this is good advice for anyone in an argument or a conflict situation, is keep your voice at maybe even a monotone, but at least at a low level. so that you're not raising your voice to match them, because then it just becomes a war of matching voices up and up and up. And so we want to stay at a calm level, at a cool level, and make them come back down from their yelling to hear us and come down at a calm level. Always think win-win in a situation, and I think a lot of times we also don't do that when we confront situations. You want to think about what's not only the best for your situation, but what's the best for their situation. Where can we kind of either come to a compromise, or where can we come to a decision that maybe at least meets people somewhat halfway? Always thinking that, somebody doesn't have to lose in the situation, somebody has to win. It's not about dominance. It's about finding a middle ground where we can all, kind of get what we want out of the deal. So whenever you're conflicting with other people, either behaviorally or maybe they're just angry at you, always think win-win. And last but not least, if you can't do these things, if you think the situation's getting way out of hand and you can't deal with it, make sure that you get help then. Call somebody else in, either call another supervisor in, call a friend in if you need it, but call somebody that can help you. One of the things in residence life for us is that we always say consult, consult, and consult. And I think that's a good modus operandi for anyone in terms of, if you don't think you can do something on your own, please get the help that you need. And that is it for my presentation on conflict management. Thank you.